Most people spend their lives trying to escape anxiety. They numb it, distract from it, medicate it, or drown it in productivity. Anxiety is treated as a malfunction, a weakness, something that must be eliminated for life to function properly. But Søren Kierkegaard saw anxiety very differently. To him, anxiety was not a problem to be solved. It was a signal that something profound was happening inside the human soul. Kierkegaard lived in a world that prized certainty, social order, and religious conformity. Yet he believed these structures concealed a deeper truth. To be human is to be radically free, and freedom is terrifying. Anxiety, in his philosophy, arises not from danger, but from possibility. It is the dizziness that comes from realizing you could choose otherwise. He called this feeling the dizziness of freedom. Unlike fear, which has an object, anxiety has none. Fear says, that thing might harm me. Anxiety says, I might choose, and there is no guarantee I will choose correctly. This is why anxiety feels so abstract and overwhelming. It is not about what will happen, it is about what could happen. Modern life amplifies this condition. Endless choices, infinite paths, and constant comparison intensify the burden of freedom. People feel paralyzed not because they lack opportunity, but because they have too much of it. Kierkegaard predicted this long before social media, career overload, or existential burnout became everyday language. He believed society trains people to escape this anxiety by dissolving themselves into the crowd. Religion becomes habit instead of faith. Morality becomes conformity instead of responsibility. Identity becomes role instead of selfhood. The crowd offers safety, but at a cost. The cost is authenticity. Kierkegaard learned that living according to external expectations may feel stable, but it produces despair. Despair, in his thought, is not sadness. It is misalignment. A condition in which the self refuses to become itself. A life lived on autopilot. A person who exists, but does not inwardly choose their existence. This despair is often invisible. People function, succeed, and appear content while inwardly hollow. Kierkegaard believed this was the most dangerous form of despair. Despair that does not know itself. Because when despair becomes unconscious, it cannot be addressed. Anxiety, then, becomes a gift. It interrupts automatic living. It exposes the lie of certainty. It reminds the individual that no system, belief, or structure can choose for them. Responsibility cannot be outsourced. To exist is to choose. Even refusing to choose is itself a choice. Kierkegaard rejected philosophical systems that claimed to explain existence from the outside. Life, he insisted, is lived from within. Truth is not something you observe objectively. It is something you become subjectively. This is why he distrusted abstract philosophy and emphasized inwardness. Anxiety forces, inwardness. It strips away distraction and demands confrontation. When a person feels anxiety, they are standing at the threshold of becoming. They sense that something essential is at stake, their own existence. This is why Kierkegaard believed anxiety precedes faith, commitment, and authentic selfhood. Before you can choose yourself, you must feel the weight of that choice. Before you can stand alone, you must feel the loneliness of freedom. Anxiety is not the enemy of meaning. It is the doorway to a dot for Søren Kierkegaard. The human self is not something you inherit. It is something you must become. And becoming yourself is not a smooth journey. It requires risk, uncertainty, and commitment without guarantees. This is where despair enters again, not as failure, but as necessity. Kierkegaard described despair as the sickness of the self. It arises when a person refuses to be who they are capable of becoming. This refusal can take many forms: living for others' approval, hiding behind social roles, or distracting oneself with constant activity. Despair is not always dramatic. Often it is quiet and polite. Faith, in Kierkegaard's sense, was not belief in doctrine. It was courage in the face of uncertainty, the willingness to choose without proof, to commit without safety nets, to stand alone before existence and say, "This is my life, and I will take responsibility for it." This is why he criticized institutional religion. When belief becomes routine, it loses existential weight. True faith is not comfortable. It is terrifying. It requires a leap, a decision made without certainty. Anxiety does not disappear in this leap. It is carried through it. Kierkegaard believed modern people try to eliminate anxiety through explanation. Psychology, ideology, and rationalization all promise relief. But explanation cannot replace choice. No theory can live your life for you. Anxiety returns whenever you approach authenticity. To live authentically means accepting the risk of being wrong, of failing, of being misunderstood. Kierkegaard believed that without this risk, life becomes imitation rather than existence. You follow paths laid out by others and call it living. The individual, in his philosophy, stands higher than the crowd, not morally, but existentially. Only the individual can choose. Only the individual can despair consciously. Only the individual can commit authentically doubt. This is why Kierkegaard is so unsettling. He removes excuses. He offers no system to hide in. He demands inward honesty. And he knew most people would resist this demand. But he also believed that, within this resistance, lies the potential for transformation. Anxiety is the signal that the self is awakening. Despair is the pain of misalignment. Faith is the act of choosing anyway. Kierkegaard did not promise happiness. He promised existence. And existence, once chosen consciously, becomes heavier, but also more real.